Ever feel like your genes are holding you back? Like, you see that headline, A Secret of Life Discovered, and it's all about DNA, and you think, well, there goes my life script all laid out.
Right, like it's predetermined.
Exactly. But today, we're diving deep into why that's not the whole story. Get ready, because we're about to uncover how beliefs and biology are intertwined in ways you might not believe.
Yeah, it's wild. What's fascinating is, for years, the message has been, your genes are your destiny. But more recently, it turns out there's a whole other layer of control happening, and it's called epigenetics.
Epigenetics. Okay, so we're talking about like stuff beyond just our genes.
Exactly. Think of your genes like a piano keyboard, right? They've got the potential for a ton of different tunes, different traits, characteristics,
Right.
but the keys don't play themselves.
Right.
It's the environment, both inside and out, that actually plays the music.
So what you're saying is my experiences, even my thoughts, can actually switch genes on or off. It's like actually like flicking switches on my DNA.
You got it. And one of the coolest examples of this comes from stem cell research. Dr. Lippman, he's a pioneer in epigenetics, do these groundbreaking experiments with stem cells. And these cells were genetically identical.
Okay, this feels important. So what did he find?
Well, he found that just by changing the environment those cells were growing in, he could actually influence whether they became muscle cells or bone cells or even fat cells. Imagine that. Same DNA, but totally different destinies based on essentially where they were.
That's mind-blowing. It's like saying like your genes are more like a starting point, not the whole story, right?
Exactly.
But how does this actually work? I mean, how can our experiences like reach into our cells and flip these genetic switches?
Well, it all comes down to proteins.
Mm-hmm.
So proteins actually bind to our DNA. And these proteins, they act like switches. They turn genes on or off. And get this, environmental signals. They can actually flip those switches.
Oh, wow.
Think of it like a light switch. The gene is there, ready to go, but the environment determines whether it's on or off.
Okay, so I'm with you. The environment sends these signals, and the signals, they hit those proteins, and then boom, the switch is flipped on our genes. It's like our cells are listening to like our inner and outer worlds and adjusting accordingly.
You got it. And this isn't just about whether you inherit like your grandmother's blue eyes or something. This is about how our environment can influence a whole range of traits and even our susceptibility to certain diseases.
That is a serious aha moment. If our environment, if our experiences can influence our genes this much, then we have way more agency than we thought. We're not just passengers on this genetic roller coaster.
Better said it.
We're driving.
We're drivers. And that leads us to the next big question, which is, if it's not just our genes calling the shots, then what else is steering the ship?
Right. If we're not just passengers, who's in the driver's seat? So if our genes aren't the only ones calling the shots, then where is that control coming from? Like, who or what is steering the ship?
That is the million-dollar question. And it leads us straight to the incredible power of the mind.
The mind?
Yeah, specifically the role of perception.
Perception. Okay. I like where this is going. But how does perception fit into all of this?
Okay, so imagine this. Each cell in your body, it's got a membrane.
Right.
And this membrane, it's not just some passive barrier. It's like a supercomputer. It's constantly scanning the environment, making decisions based on what it perceives.
Wait, so are you saying my cells, like, they have their own senses? Like, they're actually, like, interpreting the world around them?
In a way, yeah. They have these things called receptors, which are like imagine tiny antenna, and they're picking up signals from the environment.
Okay.
These signals could be hormones, nutrients, even light.
Wow.
All kinds of stuff.
Okay, so my cells are receiving all this information, but how do they know what to do with it? Like, do they have tiny brains too?
That's the really amazing part. So each receptor, it's linked to a channel, okay? And this channel, it acts like a gatekeeper. It allows specific molecules to pass in or out of the cell based on the signal that it receives. And this whole process, the receptors picking up signals, the channels reacting, it functions a lot like, a computer chip.
Okay. So you're saying our cells are like processing information. They're interpreting the environment and they're making decisions based on that input, just like a tiny computer.
It really is. And here's where it gets really interesting. If our cells are interpreting the environment, doesn't that mean our perceptions, our beliefs, our interpretations of the world are essentially programming our biology?
Whoa. Hold on. So it's not just our genes, it's our minds that are actually influencing our cells, our tissues, like our entire body.
Absolutely. And this is actually why things, like the placebo effect are so powerful.
Right.
When we believe something strongly enough, even if it's a sugar pill, our minds can trigger real, measurable biological changes. Our thoughts and our beliefs, they're like powerful chemicals. They're influencing everything from our immune systems to our gene expression.
Okay. That actually makes a lot of sense when you think about like how our bodies react to something like stress.
Right.
Like our heart races, our muscles tense up, our bodies go into like fight or flight mode, all because of how we're perceiving a situation.
Exactly. Or think about the feeling of love. Your brain is releasing dopamine, oxytocin. You feel relaxed, you feel happy. It's your mind's interpretation of the experience, positive or negative, that's actually triggering this flood of biochemical reactions.
So positive thinking, it isn't just some like wishful feel-good concept. It can create tangible changes in our bodies.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If we have all this power, if our minds are so powerful, why aren't we all walking around perfectly healthy and happy all the time? What's holding us back?
That's where the other side of the mind comes in. The subconscious. And this is where things get even more interesting.
Ooh, the subconscious. Okay. I can already tell this is going to be good. The subconscious mind, it's so mysterious. Like it feels like this hidden force that's like shaping our lives from behind the scenes.
Yeah. It kind of is like that. It operates behind the scenes. So while your conscious mind is busy setting goals, making plans, your subconscious, a lot of times it's like running the show based on like these really deeply ingrained programs. And a lot of these are actually formed in early childhood.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're saying that like those beliefs that we have, about ourselves, about the world, even about our limitations, a lot of those stem from our early experiences.
Exactly. And this is especially true in the first 7 years of life, when our brains are in this super suggestible state. Like, think of a sponge. Like, it's just soaking up everything.
Yeah.
It's no coincidence that kids, they learn new languages so easily.
Right.
Their subconscious minds are just like wide open.
It's true. It's so much easier when you're a kid. So that makes a lot of sense. But then those early experiences, and I'm assuming not all of them are positive, those get like wired into our subconscious too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's right. So if, let's say, when you were younger, you were constantly exposed to like criticism or self-doubt, even if you try to consciously shift those beliefs later on, those messages can be like so deeply ingrained in your subconscious.
It's like they're just like stuck on repeat sometimes,
Exactly.
So basically, we're essentially running on autopilot much of the time, driven by these like subconscious programs that we may not even be aware of. But does that mean that we're like stuck with whatever programming we, picked up as kids?
Not at all. The great news is that the subconscious mind, however powerful it might seem, it can be reprogrammed.
Okay, that's a relief to hear. But how do we actually start like rewriting those old limiting scripts that are like lodged in our subconscious?
Well, one way is we can actually leverage that same suggestible state that we had as children. So think about like self-hypnosis, listening to positive affirmations before sleep.
Oh.
It's almost like you're planting seeds directly into that subconscious mind when it's most receptive.
So giving your subconscious like new instructions while you sleep. I like it. What else? What else works?
Well, if you think about it, the subconscious, it thrives on like habit repetition.
Right.
So consciously repeating new, more positive thoughts and behaviors is actually key. And here's the thing, even if you don't fully believe it at first, just acting as if, like you're already confident, you're already successful, that starts to create new neural pathways in the brain.
Fake it till you make it.
Right.
Are there any tools though that can like help us like speed up this rewiring process a little bit?
Absolutely. There's a whole field called energy psychology. So techniques like EFT or TAT, they're super powerful.
To be honest, I'm not super familiar with those. What is energy psychology all about?
Basically, it involves physically tapping on specific meridian points on your body while you're focusing on the limiting belief or the emotion that you want to release. It's interesting because it combines those kind of physical and mental shifts.
Oh, wow. That is fascinating. So it's like we're using our body's own like energy systems to help kind of clear out that old programming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the cool thing is that these techniques, they often create really, really rapid shifts, sometimes faster than just talk therapy or even self-hypnosis alone.
Amazing. Okay. So we've got these incredible tools for reprogramming our subconscious minds, for shifting our perceptions. This has been like such an empowering conversation, don't you think?
It really is. It really highlights how we're not just victims of our genes or victims of our past. We have way more agency than we've been led to believe.
It's so true. But before we wrap up here, we haven't really talked much about the who that's doing all this creating. Like, if our minds have this power to shape our biology, to shape our realities, what does that say about like our true nature?
That's the ultimate question, isn't it? And honestly, it's a very personal journey of discovery, but science actually offers a few clues. So we know that every individual is completely unique, even identical twins.
Yeah.
And there's got to be more to it than just our genes.
Yeah, that's true. So what makes each of us so unique? Like, what is that extra ingredient?
Well, scientists have actually discovered these things called self-receptors inside of our cell membranes. And these receptors, they seem to carry a unique energetic signature.
Oh, wow.
And it's different for each individual.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild. So it's like our cells are broadcasting like a unique energy signature, like we're each tuned to a specific frequency almost.
I love that analogy. So it's like we're each like broadcasting our own unique signal out into the world.
Exactly. And this energy, this essence of who we are, it might actually extend beyond just our physical bodies. It might connect us to something so much larger. Some people might call it spirit or the quantum field or universal consciousness.
That is like mind-blowing. The idea that we're not just like these separate beings, but that we're all these interconnected expressions of something so much greater. It's a beautiful thought.
It really is. And you know what? As we tap into this understanding, as we embrace our power to consciously create, we unlock incredible potential. Potential for joy, for purpose, for connection, all those amazing things.
This deep dive has been like quite the journey. It's like we've peeked behind the curtain of reality and discovered this whole new world of possibilities.
Yeah, it's a journey that never really ends though, right?
Right.
The more we learn, the more we realize how much more there is to explore.
Always more to discover. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible exploration of beliefs, biology, and the power we have to shape our own reality. We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, maybe even inspired you to see yourselves and the world around you in a whole new light. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep believing in those limitless possibilities within you.